Hello everybody. A lot of capitalists seem to assume people who don't work yet still get a share of resources are socialists gaming the system, when one could easily say they're actually capitalists profiting off the work of others. Identical behaviour viewed from different perspectives. I guess it depends on how we define work. I define work by physical action. If I'm physically moving heavy things around, I'm working. If I'm sitting at a desk thinking, I'm not working. I've actually had people try to convince me that mental work is actually more tiring than physical work. All of them were office workers. I've done office work. I'm doing it now, writing books and talking to you. They're full of shit. Capitalism and socialism can actually complement each other. I know this makes about as much sense as Boris Johnson's barber, but look at the most successful countries today. And by successful I mean with the highest quality of life and the happiest populations. Social democracies like Norway, Sweden, Finland, Denmark, Iceland, and to a certain extent New Zealand, Australia, Holland, Switzerland and Canada. They all thrive by combining both doctrines. Now every country does this, whether you want to admit it or not. But the ones I mentioned seem to get the balance just right, as evidenced by their topping just about every empirical happiness and freedom metric there is. Now I have noticed, especially among patriotic British and American right-wingers, a tendency to either strawman the concept or accuse these more successful countries of being boring. One could dismiss this attitude as ego damage control, but there's an unwitting point to their snowflakery. Life is not enlivened by the tedium of administration. Bean counting isn't sexy. Life is made more lively by idiots who do stupid shit. Like elect a childish moron as their leader, or vote to leave the most successful trading organisation in the world. Rash, counterintuitive and potentially harmful decisions, perhaps even disastrous in a World War III kind of way, but they're also very interesting. It gives us tons to talk about down the pub. And that's what life is really all about for an individual human. The acquisition of anecdotes. Our stories increase the value of our interactions because we're social creatures. That's what we do. Ever since humans developed language, narrative has been the mainstay of our cultures. The majority of people on the planet are religious, for example. Being religious means believing a local mythology or a local story to be true. And the most agreeable mythologies, the most agreeable stories, are the ones that caught on. But where do these stories come from? When you put a pigeon in a Skinner box and feed it through the hopper completely randomly, the pigeon associates whatever its last behaviour was with the sudden acquisition of a food pellet. So it repeats the behaviour, but the hopper delivery is random. So it tries some other behaviours and gets another pellet. Now it has two reinforced behaviours to cycle through. Over a surprisingly short amount of time, you have a cavorting pigeon with more physical tics than a meth addict in a clock shop. And every pigeon develops a completely unique pattern. That's us. That's the operant conditioning mechanism that forms different cultures. And it's why some people still believe in magic gods. The Abrahamic religions, Judaism, Christianity and Islam, are particularly to blame for introducing this idea that humanity is semi-divine, above nature rather than part of it, and thereby entitled to consume our natural habitat. God gave it to us for this purpose, right? So they believe it's an endless resource. That's a huge problem now, manifesting in right-wing exploitation and left-wing mismanagement. Now here's a potential solution, admitting we all contain something of both ideologies. Stop demonising the one you've been conditioned to disagree with. A polarised ideology and reality hardly ever jive. We need to embrace the one reality of human society that actually means something to everyone, and that's community. It's the way we've always been, so in our natural state, if you consume other people's limited time on earth for your personal profit rather than a communal benefit, you get cast out, banished. The worst punishment for a communal animal is being stripped of its community. Or you may prefer a stone axe to the back of the skull, we do that too. Yes, I'm talking about the Paleolithic in the present tense on purpose. We're domesticated to the point now that if we don't have money, we literally starve. We're so reliant on our compartmentalised community to provide for us, whatever our political affiliation or income bracket. We're no longer actual humans if we define humanity by what it is we actually evolved to do. The division of labour has resulted in us being easily replaceable cogs in a corporate machine. I've actually had people tell me that water isn't free, for example, when it falls out of the sky. So it's a demonising of the other side that prevents progress, in my opinion. We're wasting a lot of time and resources arguing about stupid shit, whipped along by the propaganda of our corporate taskmasters. Capitalists claim socialists are soft and misguided. Socialists claim capitalists are selfish and stupid. There may be a little truth in both. What would help immensely would be to turn that glaring lens towards yourself and use what you find as a lesson.